Hi friends, welcome to Focus on Civils Preparation channel. In this video, we will start the third chapter of the 7th class Ncert, Our Environment. The name of the third chapter is the Our Changing Earth. Here in this, we will read about the changes on the earth during a period of time, that is in the internal and also on the external. Here first, in this chapter we will understand what is the plates, and then what are the forces responsible for the changes. Next, how that forces changes the earth, and what are the landforms are formed during due to that force. In this our changing earth, first we will start about the lithospheric plates. If you see the lithosphere is broken into number of plates. These plates is called as lithospheric plates. These plates are moving very slowly. For example, very few millimeters in each year. These are moving due to the magma movement, molten magma movement in the interior of the earth. Here we will need to understand some depth, that is, plates are moving due to, actually there are the three layers on the earth. These three layers in the interior of the earth, that is earth crust, mantle, core. If you see in the mantle, we have a molten magma on the top of the mantle. That layer is called as asthenosphere. But here in this layer we have the molten magma. That molten magma is moving with the conventional currents. These conventional currents are moving in the circular shape. That way the plates are also moving. And then this movement, the movement of plates leads to the changes of surface of the earth. And then earth movements are divided on the basis of the force which they cause them. The forces which act in the interior of the earth is called as endogenic forces, and then the forces which act on the surface of the earth is called as exogenic forces. As you know, earth movements are divided into two types: endogenic forces, exogenic forces. Here we need to understand something, that is, if the endogenic forces are the two types of forces, that is the sudden forces and the diastrophic forces. In the sudden forces, these are happen suddenly, which resulted into the mass destructions. Example: earthquakes, volcanoes, landslides, etc. There are many other things also. Diastrophic forces. These diastrophic forces are the slow processing movement forces. These are resulted to the building of mountains. Here, how mountains are built. In this, we already studied that plates are moving. If two plates are moving towards each other, then they collide. If they collide, and then during that collide is a sudden forces, but after the collide they are trying to move towards each other, and then slowly the mountains are building, and then the height of the mountains are also rising. This will happen in the case of Himalayas also. And then exogenic forces, these forces are the act on the outside of the earth. Here exogenic forces act as a erosional and depositional. These agents of the erosion or depositions are the rivers, wind, sea waves, glaciers. First, we will study about the endogenic forces. Endogenic forces produce sudden movements. These movements, like earthquakes, volcanoes, or uh, landslides, or anything which create a mass destructions on the earth. And then volcano. Volcano is actually a opening in the earth's surface crust through which the molten material is coming outside of the air from the interior of the earth suddenly. Actually, if you see in the figure, it is the volcano. Sorry for the diagram. There was a opening which is called as vent. Through that vent, the magma is coming from the interior of the earth to the outside of the earth. And then earthquake. In the earthquake, how earthquakes all happens? Let us see. Earthquakes are happens due to if the lithospheric plates are moving, then the surface of the earth vibrates. These vibrations can travel all around the earth. These vibrations are also called as earthquakes. These vibrations reach to the earth on the earth surface through the waves only. The place in the crust where the movement the place in the crust where the movement has happened, that place is called as focus. And then the place above the focus on the surface is called as the place which is near to the focus and also vertically above the surface, which is the first place to reach the waves of the earthquakes. That place is called as epicenter. And then the vibrations are traveled outwards from the epicenter as a waves. Next, these waves are the three types: P waves, longitudinal waves; S waves, transverse waves. P waves is the primary waves. S waves is the secondary waves, and then L waves, low waves. These are the surface waves. And then the earthquake. The earthquake is measured with the equipment. This equipment is called as the seismography. The magnitude of the earth is measured on Richter scale. Next, major landforms. How the landforms are formed? Let us see. If you see the landscape or any land is being continuously worn, that is eroded by two processes, that is the weathering and erosion. Actually, weathering means breaking up of the rocks on the earth's surface, and the erosion means wearing away of the landscape and also travel to another place. That wearing material also travel to another place, then only it is called as erosion. If the wearing material if the wearing material will not be travel to other place, it will there on that place only, then it is called as weathering. If it travels to other place, then it is called as erosion. These are the traveling agents are the wind, ice, and then water. If the eroded materials is carried away or transported by water, wind, etc., and deposited, the eroded materials is carried away by water or wind, etc., and deposited on other places. The process of erosion and deposition leads to the formation of different landforms on the earth's surface. And then the work of a river. The river work. If you see the river, we have the three stages of the river. First, a river which is flows on the mountains, that is the steep slope. There we have the more force of the river water, that is the water flows very speed. There we have the more erosion and less no deposition. And then if you see that next stage, then that in that stage the material The speed of the river reduces due to the slope reduces due to it comes to the plains region. There in the plains region we have the in the plains region the rivers flows are becoming slow, and then that region the erosion will be reduces and also deposition will be increases. Next in the third stage the river speed became very slow, and then deposition became more due to the it comes to near to the mouth of the river, that is the area which is entering into the sea. Then that area more deposition will happens. There we form a delta that we'll see later. We'll now, if you see, running water erodes landscape. If the highest the speed of the water, then the slope is also highest. Then eroded material of the river also more. Then if the next is the waterfall. What is the waterfall? Waterfall is formed on the river when there is a hard rock sudden fall. There will be sudden fall of the steep angle of the river on the hard rock and down a steep valley side, it forms a waterfall. And then as the river enters the plain, it twists and turns, forming a large branch known as meander. Here I said already that if river enters into the second stage, in that stage river speed becomes slow. There the river forms the twist in the plains region and turns, forming a large bends. That bends are called as meanders. This meander loop will cut very soon from the river. Then it forms one lake beside the river. That lake is called as Oxbow Lake. Next, floodplain. In floodplain, as the floods come to the river, then the deposition layer of the fine soil and other material during the floods leads to the formation of the floodplain. Thus, the raised banks are called as levees. Levees are formed due to the floodplains. The material which are brought by the river, these are deposited on the banks of the river. This is called as levees. That deposition is called as levees. And then distributaries. As the river approaches to the sea, the speed of the flowing of the river reduces, and then river breaks into number of streams. These streams is called as distributaries. Each distributary forms its own mouth. That is, mouth is the area which is in which the river enter into the sea. And then the collection of sediments with the distributaries forms a delta. And then work of the sea waves. Sea waves are continuous. Next, sea waves, it will see in the water bodies. Sea waves are continuously strike at the rocks. If the sea waves are continuously strike, sea waves are always formed. That waves are continuously strike at the rocks, then the rocks are formed on the rock. Then it became a big. Thus hollow-like caves are formed. These hollow-like caves are called as sea caves. Then again the sea waves are hitting to the caves. Then the material or the rock which is in the cave will be broken, and the only roof will be remains. That is called as sea arches. If then if the sea arches also striked with the sea waves, then the roof will be gone and then the only walls are remain. Then it is called as tax. Next, here we have the word sea cliff. Sea cliff means a steepy rocky coast rising almost vertically above the sea water is called as sea cliff. And then sea waves deposit sediments along the shores forming the beaches. Sea wave deposits sediments. The sea waves are eroded the materials on the coastal lines. That eroded materials will deposited in the beaches and form the beaches. And the next is work of ice. Actually, glaciers. Work of ice means here glaciers work. Actually, glaciers is called as the rivers of ice, in which glaciers also eroded the landscape. How it is eroded? Glaciers are very huge thing. It will travel very slowly. In the traveling of the glaciers, the soil and stones are exposed to the solid top below. The material or the rocks or soils which are blocked the material, then glaciers will also remove that material, that block, and mix that material with that and flow it with the that mixed material will be deposited when the glacier will be melted completely. That depositions is called as glacial moraines. Work of wind. An active agent of erosion and depositions in the deserts is a wind. In the deserts we have the agent wind. In that deserts, the rocks of mushrooms called as mushroom rocks. In the deserts there is a rocks of mushroom rocks. This in the shape of the mushroom. These are formed due to the erosion carried by the winds. In this we have the narrower base and the wider top. Next, when the winds blows, it lifts and transport the sand from one place to another place. When it stops blowing, then the sand falls, where the deposits of this sand leads to the formation of sand dunes. When such depositions in the larger area will happen, that is called as loess. Larger deposits of loess found in China, for example. This is the example of loess. With this, I will conclude the chapter. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe.